In today's episode, we're talking about the city that inspired Silent Hill. Please note that we are talking about the inspiration for the film version of Silent Hill, not the video game version. Because why would we talk about the much loved and classic video game when we could talk about the critically reviled and fan-maligned film adaptation?
From now on, if anyone makes fun of me, I'll kill him! Just like that.
I like the film.
Have you gone nuts?
More seriously, while the video game did have influences from the real world, mostly using Jewish mysticism and names from the Bible, the town of Silent Hill was not one of them. The game was created by a group of Japanese game designers in an attempt to produce a game that would be successful in the United States to rival the popular Resident Evil. So the result was an interpretation of a small American community as imagined by the Japanese team rather than a real representation of one. It was based on Western literature and Hollywood film depictions of American towns in European and Russian culture, with its most famous feature, the constant fog, starting out as a utilitarian way of hiding the graphics which the system struggled to load. It was the 90s, it was like literally just post-Mega Drive era. But the 2006 film had a Canadian-American writer, Roger Avery, as well as Frenchman Christophe Gans and Nicolas Boukrieff, who sought to ground their film using a real American town, Centralia, Pennsylvania. A legend among the locals in Centralia tells that Father Daniel Ignatius McDermott, the first Roman Catholic priest to call Centralia home, cursed the land in retaliation for being assaulted by 3 members of the Molly Maguires in 1869, a gang who had murdered the founder of the town on October 17, 1868, and was responsible for several other murders, acts of arson and other violence. McDermott said that there would be a day when St. Ignatius Roman Catholic Church would be the only structure remaining in Centralia. The principal employer of the town was the anthracite coal industries, with at least 5 main mines in operation: the Locust Run Mine, the Coleridge Mine, the Hazeldell Colliery Mine, the Centralia Mine, and the Continental Mine. According to numbers of federal census records, the town of Centralia reached its maximum population of 2,761 in 1890. At its peak, the town had 7 churches, 5 hotels, 27 saloons, 2 theatres, a bank, a post office, and 14 general and grocery stores, and a partridge in a pear tree. But 37 years later, the production of anthracite coal began to decline in Pennsylvania, firstly due to many young miners from Centralia enlisted in the military when the US entered World War I, and then the Wall Street crash of 1929, which resulted in the Lehigh Valley Coal Company closing 5 of its Centralia local mines. By 1980, it had 1,012 residents, with another 500 or 600 living nearby. Open pit mining and bootleg miners continued mining in several idle mines using techniques such as that was called pillar robbing, where miners would extract coal from coal pillars left in mines to support their roofs. This caused the collapse of many idle mines, which would make what followed the situation what it was. I mean, like, what? Of course it's going to collapse, you're digging away at the supports! Madness! There is no consensus as to what caused the Centralia fire, with some theorising that it started with a routine attempt by firefighters to clean up the town landfill on May 27, 1962, whilst others said it started the day before, when a trash hauler dumped hot ash, hey there, or discarded coal into the open trash pit, or that a much earlier fire in 1932 had never been fully extinguished. Either way, the firefighters, as they had in the past, set the dump on fire and let it burn for some time. Unlike in previous years, however, the fire was not fully extinguished. An unsealed opening in the pit allowed the fire to enter the labyrinth of abandoned coal mines underneath Centralia. The problem wasn't particularly noticeable or taken seriously until 1981, when a 12-year-old resident named Todd Domboski fell into a sinkhole that suddenly opened beneath his feet in the backyard. His cousin, 14-year-old Eric Wolfgang, pulled Domboski out of the hole and saved his life. The plume of hot steam billowing from the hole was tested and found to contain a lethal level of carbon monoxide. Decades of intense underground heat was causing the pavement to crumble. $7 million was spent on trying to end the underground blaze, but unsuccessfully, and it continued to spread, causing dangerous gases to enter people's homes. Don't eat beans. Even then, there was debate as to whether anything serious should be done about it. Even after the US Congress allocated more than $42 million for relocation efforts in 1983, though more than 1,000 people moved out of the town and 500 structures were demolished, 63 residents remained. In 1992, Pennsylvania Governor Bob Casey invoked eminent domain on all property in the borough, condemning all the buildings within. Several current and former Centralia residents believe this was a plot to gain the mineral rights to the anthracite coal beneath the borough, but their subsequent legal effort to overturn the action failed. By then, the Centralia mine fire had extended beneath the village of Burnsville, rather ironically, a short distance to the south, and required it also to be abandoned. In 2002, the US Postal Service discontinued Centralia's zip code 17927, with only 16 homes still standing by 2006, which was reduced to 11 by 2009 when Governor Ed Rendell began the formal eviction of the remaining Centralia residents. Only 5 homes remained in 2010, and in October 2013 the remaining residents settled their lawsuit, receiving $218,000 in compensation for the value of their homes, along with $131,500 to settle additional claims, and the right to stay in their homes for the rest of their lives. As of 2020, there are between 5 and 11 inhabitants in Centralia. Its last mayor is Cole Womer, who died in 2014. Few homes remain standing in Centralia. Most of the abandoned buildings have been demolished by the Columbia County Redevelopment Authority or reclaimed by nature. At a casual glance, the area now appears to be a field with many paved streets running through it. Some areas are being filled with new growth forest. The town's Ukrainian Catholic Church, the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, remains in use and attracts worshippers from surrounding towns, including people who were once residents of the town. A geological survey found there was solid rock, not coal, under the church, so it is not in danger of collapse due to the fire. If the town was indeed cursed by Father Daniel Ignatius McDermott, then God knew his geology. Pastor Michael Hutzko offers donuts and coffee to parishioners afterwards because there's nowhere else to go. The town's 4 cemeteries, including one on the hilltop that has smoke rising around it and out of it, are maintained in good condition, apart from the smoke. The underground fire has now been burning for almost 60 years and may continue to do so for another 250, but the only indications of the fire, which underlies some 400 acres spreading along 4 fronts, are low, round metal steam vents in the south of the borough. Additional smoke and steam can be seen coming from the abandoned portion of Pennsylvania Route 61, the area just behind the Hilltop Cemetery, and other cracks in the ground scattered around the area. Everywhere, streams of toxic gas spew into the air from hundreds of fissures in the ground. Everywhere, signs say danger and to stay out, warning of underground fire, unstable ground and dangerous levels of carbon monoxide. The roads have cracked and buckled with white smoke streaming out in places. Route 61 was repaired several times until it was now closed, with mounds of dirt placed at both ends of the former route, effectively blocking the road. Beyond the mounds, trees have been bleached white by the fumes, and they say in some places the ground is so hot you can light a match simply by bringing it into contact with the floor. In April 2020, amidst the early part of the COVID-19 pandemic, the property's current owners made the decision to cover over the graffitied section of Old Route 61. Several mounds of dirt were laid over the area, thus ending a decades-long fascination with the desolate stretch of road. Fans of Silent Hill, the film, will recognise the underground fire explanation for the white fumes and ash everywhere, as well as the curse on the town and the church being a safe haven for survivors for years on end. But Centralia has also been used as a model for many different fictional ghost towns and manifestations of hell, including Dean Koontz's Strange Highways and David Wellington's Vampire Zero, and the Valkenvania setting of the 1991 film Nothing But Trouble, starring Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. Nothing but classics. So, worth it? As it is still technically inhabited, Centralia is not quite a ghost town, but one thing is for sure, any white apparitions there should absolutely be feared. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Spooky History. You can find us on most social media at Spooky Hist Show. Thanks for watching, and please do have nightmares. And if you hear an air raid siren, run. Goodbye.